Hi, Know Your IS Code Provisions short lecture series. I am going to explain today four vertical irregularities that is given in table number 6 of IS 1893. So these irregularities are, one is vertical geometry irregularity and in-plane discontinuity, floating columns and irregular modes of oscillations. So let's go into the details. Yeah. So these four vertical irregularities I'll explain today. That is geometry irregularity, in-plane discontinuity, floating columns, and modes of oscillation. Now, let me explain briefly all the vertical irregularities. So there are 7 vertical irregularities and 5 plan irregularities. Now, table number 6 gives elevation irregularities or vertical irregularities. So in this lecture, so I'm going to explain geometry irregularity, in-plane discontinuity, floating columns, and irregular modes of oscillation. So let's go into the details. Yeah. So what is this geometry irregularity? So vertical geometric irregularity shall be considered to exist when the horizontal dimension of the lateral force resisting system in any story is more than 125% of the story below. So code gives some illustrative diagrams. So where you can see this offset A is like more than 25% of this base length total base length L. So this comes under vertical irregularity structure, vertically irregular structure. And then as you can see here, so A offset here, A offset both together. So this A offset is more than 12.5% of the base length. So that means total 25% it is. If it is more than 25%, then this comes under vertical irregularity. And here also you can see, so this is also something like inverted pendulum kind of structure. So this is also vertically irregular structure. And here this structure, so L1 is the top width and L2 is the base width. So where L2 is greater than 1.25 L1. So this also comes under vertical irregular. So similarly, this figure also. All these figures show vertical geometry irregularity. Now, in such case, what we need to do for doing analysis? So what code suggests is, in buildings with vertical geometric irregularity and located in seismic zones 3, 4, and 5. So there is some leeway for zone 2, but for zone 3, 4, and 5. So what code suggests is go for dynamic analysis to get the design forces or to get the stress resultants in a correct manner. So that is vertical geometry irregularity. So if vertical geometry irregularity is present, code suggests to go for dynamic analysis to get the appropriate forces on the structural members. Then let's go to in-plane discontinuity. So what is this in-plane discontinuity? So in-plane discontinuity in vertical elements which are resisting lateral force shall be considered to exist when in-plane offset of the lateral force resisting element is greater than 20% of the plan length of those elements. So something like this. So let's take this is a shear wall, and here on the top length of shear wall is given. So if at the base, if there is an offset, this offset is allowed, means it is encouraged not to have the offset. Even if offset is present, then it should not be more than 20% of the width or the length of the wall. So length of the vertical resisting element. So like say, let's look at this one. This is shear wall in the ground floor, and this is in-plane discontinuity. In-plane discontinuity, you can see this. This is a shear wall at the base, and then on upper floors, this is a shear wall. So that means completely one bay length there is an offset. Here, this is like offset is in out of plane discontinuity. Offset is out of plane. So here in plane discontinuity. So when in plane discontinuity is there, what happens is there will be huge demand on columns in the lower story. So what code suggests for in-plane discontinuity? So what code says is, in buildings with in-plane discontinuity and located in seismic zone 2, the lateral drift of the building under the design lateral force shall be limited to 0.2% of building height. In seismic zones 3, 4, and 5, buildings with in-plane discontinuity shall not be permitted. So code is not allowing in-plane discontinuity in moderate to severe seismic zones, that is zone 3, zone 4, and zone 5. But if say in zone 2, so there is some relaxation, that is 0.2%. With 0.2% this lateral drift up to 0.2% is allowed. Beyond that is not allowed. So design should be in such a manner that it is less than 0.2%. And then in zone 3, zone 4, and zone 5, this is not allowed. In-plane discontinuity is not allowed. Then coming to floating columns. So such columns are likely to cause concentrated damage in the structure. So in earlier revision of the code has suggested, so these have to be designed for higher forces. But in this revision, so it is code is specifically telling that, so this feature is undesirable, hence should be prohibited if it is part of or supporting the primary lateral resisting system. So that means if floating column is present and if the load path, the primary load path is having floating column, then code is suggesting to avoid that. I mean, that is prohibited. So this is not allowed. Floating column is not allowed. Then coming to modes of oscillation. So that is irregular modes of oscillation in two principal plan directions. So when we can say that this kind of irregularity is present in the structure. So stiffnesses of beams, columns, braces, and structural walls determine the lateral stiffness of a building in each principal plan direction. So all the like structural elements determine the overall stiffness of the structure. So a building is said to have lateral story irregularity in a principal plan direction if when these conditions are met. So first is what the first three modes contribute less than 65% mass participation factor in each principal plan direction. So that means what, when we do model analysis, then we get eigenvalues, eigenvectors, and this modal participation factors also. So if we add the first three modal mass participation factor, so if say they contribute less than 65%, then building is said to have, structure is said to have irregular modes of oscillation. And the second condition is the fundamental lateral natural period. That means the natural period of the building in two principal plan direction are closer to each other by 10% of the larger value. So in x direction as well as in y direction, so if we compute the natural periods, so fundamental natural period, if they are close by within 10% of the upper value, then also it says, code says that this is irregular mode of oscillation. So what will happen is, if say in x direction as well as in y direction, if modes are very close, so the actual oscillation will be in a diagonal kind of direction. So that is not a good structural behavior. So hence what code suggests is it should be separated by at least 10%. So let's go into the what if such kind of thing is there in the structure, how to avoid that. So what code says is, in buildings located in seismic zones 2 and 3, it shall be ensured that the first three modes together contribute at least 65% mass participation factor in each principal plan direction. So in x direction as well as in y direction. In x direction, compute say all the modes and add the modal mass participation in first three modes. They should be more than 65%. Same in y direction also. Then in buildings located in seismic zones 4 and 5, what code suggests is both the clauses. One is like first three modes should contribute more than 65%. That is number one, in both in x direction as well as in y direction. And second is fundamental lateral natural period. That is the first mode in x direction and y direction both. They should be separated by at least 10% of the larger value. Suppose if x direction natural period, the first natural period is say some value, x value, so some value t in x direction, tx1, then ty1 should be like say away 10% away from that, 10% away, at least 10% away from that. So then this is the correction. This irregular modes of oscillation will not be there in such case. So this short lecture is to help students and practicing engineers understand IS code provisions in a better manner. So following references are used in preparation of these slides. And I sincerely acknowledge my PhD students and master students in preparation of these slides. So thank you very much and have a nice